In the shadow of the Ark of St. Louis at St. Louis University, we truly test strong spirit at a stage that was first created to honor the passing of the late great Antonio Inoki, whose will waver, whose body is stronger, who deserves to call themselves a champion, and who truly is the most real of competitors. A lot on the line, including $500,000, grudge matches galore, and someone has to quit. Nightmares to be unleashed as this weekend AEW brings to us WrestleDream from St. Louis, Missouri. And this is Simply Predicting. Welcome to the discussion. Simply put, let's go ahead and get right into things. Hello, everybody, and welcome back here once again to another edition of Simply Predicting. You know what this is? For I am the simple man of the simple brand, the voice of SRS, forever grateful for all things professional wrestling. Damn it. And my name is Noel Foster. Please, thank you again for tuning in. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. If you want to dictate the conversation, super chat, PayPal, patches. It's as simple as that. And of course, the forum for those that are part of the All Elite League will be live on my social media feeds and NoDQ social media feeds tomorrow morning at some point. You know who you are if you're in the league. Good luck to all of you in and out of Team No DQ. And of course, thank you to those that tune in. Of course, Nicholas Ferrantes here in the chat. I love that. Keeps it simple. And Michael Vesquez, thank you as well for your support. All right, with that being said, it's a very simple panel here. For the first time in a long time, it is just a duo. So whether or not he's Tetsumi Fujinami or he's someone else you might want to connect to New Japan Pro Wrestling, some Pro Wrestling, he is one half of the Dominguez. Emmanuel Dominguez. If you haven't already, subscribe to Interactive Games and Movies right here on YouTube. There will be a link in the description down below. Emmanuel, good to see you. As you again have come kind of along for the ride to be involved in city predicting almost all the time for all things wrestling. Mad respect. Shout out to AEW fan, by the way. How are you feeling about this preview this Saturday?
As I mentioned you before we got in, like I haven't seen the results of the AEW lately, so this card's gonna be a surprise to me, and what makes sense in storyline wise, because like I said, like Osprey is injured, Strickland is injured. It feels like kind of like a hiatus. Like we gotta wait till they return, hopefully, and make a better product out of this. But yeah, I mean, there's no real need for me to see AEW until it gets more better storyline wise. But I'm intrigued at what Tony Khan has in store for us. It's gonna be always a banger, no matter what lineup. What lineup it is. So it's going to be an awesome time for those wrestling fans, and hopefully, Tony Khan, don't overbook this. That's all I beg you, because I want to enjoy an AEW match that does not cost another man being in flames for once.
Well, you know what? Yeah, don't cut your chickens before they hatch. I'm just saying. But yeah, I appreciate that take because you know I'm all league since day zero. I love this company. The pay-per-views have been the marquee, the standard of absolute joy, passion, and fun overall for me for the entire year, if I'm being honest. In my opinion, 2025 has been one of the strongest years for AEW in recent memory. And it's good to see also Matt Helms in the chat. We're doing very well tonight. And the Renegade Wrestling, JJ Williams. What is up, my brother? Again, prayers are passions. Hope that you are doing well. But I am looking forward to this show, as always, because even a name that you don't fully understand, you'd be surprised what it can lead to. And hello to Andy Lashley Sky 6747, also in the chat. Hey. So I think without further ado, sit the predicting community, my fellow panelists, professional wrestling fans, sports entertainment enthusiasts, all elite fleet AEW fans, or curious inquirers galore. Let's get right into it. So again, folks, tonight's conversation is going to preview the entire card for WrestleDream. AEW WrestleDream comes from St. Louis, Missouri, the Chavez Arena, very familiar stage for AEW for those that remember at one point it hosts Dynasty. Of course, the pay-per-view will be available here in the States for us on HBO Max. It'll be $40, of course, for HBO Max subscribers. And again, it starts 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live Saturday night. And I will be covering here at the Super Reliable Studios, partner to be determined, or it might be soloing. I have no idea at this point, so stay tuned. But we always are going to be that reliable conduit for you towards all things wrestling. I assure you. Shout out to Nathan Banks at Money Miracle 101. Good to see you. Hello there, Incredible Hulk. And also, before that, we will be covering not a talk show, but an actual pre-show of matches. Before we get into fans, I want to highlight if you all have not tuned in AEW for a while, or you don't know what AEW brings, I do encourage you to look out for free, either on TNT TV or on HBO Max, Tailgate Brawl. Tailgate Brawl will be a 1-hour show of professional wrestling matches, as well as a light WrestleDream preview. We will be covering that. That is live coast to coast, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also tomorrow night, Saturday, October 18th. Before we get into the main card, let's just go ahead and highlight what is in store for us on the Tailgate Brawl, shall we? Before we get to the main game and the players take the field. We know we're going to take flight as FTR goes once again in tag team action against Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey of Jet Speed in tag team action. The conglomeration conglomerates. First, Sweet Orange Cassidy, the Paragon, Colorado Registrar, Torisha E. Take on the Death Riders. Wheeler Yuta, Clark Castanelli, the Bastard Pac, and Daniel Garcia. And based on going to be one of our main events, you got one of this will be the Death Riders' final ride. And the kids in the hut, they don't give a damn who steps up to them, but they're trying to get in the tag team ranks, y'all, right? So they'll be there at Tailgate Brawl in action this Saturday. We'll see who steps forward. And of course, the Mega Sis, Megan Bain and Penelope Ford, Team Mega Bad, will feel the rap and all the smiles they can as they take on Harley Cameron and Will Nightingale in tag team action. And all 4 of those matches will be available for free to tune in to watch prior to AEW WrestleDream. So if you can, check out any of that to get an idea of what WrestleDream offers or what AEW brings. Emmanuel, based on the 4 matches you just saw regarding the Tailgate Brawl, what are your initial thoughts?
I like the variety of matches. It does feel like a brawl. Like a lot of tag team matches for that's for sure. And like I have to admit, this seems like a pretty high level Dynamite episode that could be pay per view rarely, but sadly it's in the pre-show, the 1 hour show. My fear is that so many matches will be cut down, but I hope they had their time and the spots in, because that's a lot of matches in 1 hour. That's really cutting it. That's my only fear, like how they're going to time it right, and hopefully there's no mishaps, no botches, because you're in the clock. You're like oh shoot, there's one left. I need to wrap it up and.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I do feel like one of the matches is going to be a super quick squash because Eddie Kingston and Hook are the newest tag team on the scene. And last time they did the Tailgate Brawl, of course, the second time they're introducing that concept, and personally, I love it. It was literally a 1 hour little preview show of 3 matches. So I think for what we got here, and based on the matches we saw back at All Out, let's not forget there was an 8-woman brawl, let's forget, and also a tag match and another impromptu tag match. I think they'll have pretty good flow because, again, it's going to be treated like a little TV show. It's a pre-show. It's for free. So again, I don't think you have any reason to argue because you watch it literally on HBO Max, TNT, and YouTube for that matter. So again, folks, if you can, check out Tailgate Brawl this Saturday. We'll be covering it. I think that Jet Speed are going to surprise FTR this time, why FTR and Team Mega Bad have formed the top gods. And we just saw FTR and Megan Bain win in mixed trios action at Daly's Place at AEW Homecoming. So I can definitely see both this match and this match turning on the dime, especially after Harley Cameron took Megan Bain quite possibly to a fair fight. She kicked out at Face Descent. So I would not count out Megan Bain and Penelope Ford slipping here against Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron. And honestly, Emmanuel, you might be getting a preview of 2 tag teams that might be involved in the upcoming AEW Women's Tag Team Tournament, because we know that's going to be a thing. Remember, they have women's tag titles now. You're looking at 2 tag teams possibly for this division. So far, I like what I see. As far as the Death Riders go, the Death Riders have been a nightmare for AEW since last year's WrestleDream, when they really came to fruition, holding AEW hostage after John Moxley gave Bryan Danielson's Warrior Death season the AEW World Championship. So seeing the conglomeration here when Orange Cassidy was involved at that stage where he saw Bryan Danielson's demise, I think is a long overdue coup for the Orange Cassidy and the conglomeration. Plus, we just saw Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly lose to the Death Riders, literally on a collision. So again, I think a little bit of 50-50 bullet is going to be involved. What I'm most curious about is what tag team's going to step up. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be the Acclaim. They're unacclaimed. Max Caster and Anthony Bowens refuse to work together, quote unquote, because neither man right now can get out of their own ego. So I'm very curious to see who steps forward to Eddie Kingston and Hook, wins the primary if it's enhancement talent. But overall, I'm looking forward to the tailgate, bro. And I think it's going to be a fun little hour of professional wrestling, free pay-per-view action.
Just a quick comment. I think that's good. It's the sneak preview. It depends on how the tag team match performs. If they perform really well, I could see that as the final in the tournament, and whoever loses might, that's a solid, tag team for both sides. Like it's really there. So if whoever wins this could, whoever loses could be potentially the future AEW Women's Tag Team Champion, because they have a grudge of they beat us. Now we have to get that victory and get the monkey off of our back, and that's how they start off.
That's fair. Well, let's not count out the Sisters of Sin, Sky Blue and Julia Hart, as well as Ty J, the original AEW women's tag team duo, also in this company. But I do see your point. So again, folks, that's Tailgate Brawl. So what are your thoughts regarding all four of these matches? Let us know in the comments. Get your predictions out there real quick. Do you think it leads to title implications for any of the teams, any of the individuals here? Are we witnessing the Death Riders' final ride before Jon Moxley's last time, dare we say? Let your thoughts be known as we go through this card. But again, that's Tailgate Brawl. I encourage you, check it out. It's for free on YouTube, TNT, and again, HBO Max. With that being said, that is pre-show action concluded. So why don't we go ahead and get right now into the real point of all of this action. And JJ with a quick thought. JJ said Willow should be on the main card. In a way, JJ, I kind of do wish that this tap out was on the main card, but considering we got 8 matches, why people are talking about what Emmanuel talking about overbooking, there's only 8 matches, folks, on this main pay-per-view card. I'm just saying, it's single digits and it's not even 9. Let's give the man a break. And again, you can't feature everybody on a pay-per-view, for Pete's sake, JJ. All right? Daggum. But I do respect his take. All right, man. Without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get right into this freaking shebang? Again, folks, the main card, AEW WrestleDream, starts 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday night. And again, pay-per-view, 8 matches. We have 8 matches only. We have several titles on the line. We have the first AEW I Quit match. And since I can remember, one of the first times I have a women's singles match not involving a tournament, not involving a stipulation, not involving a championship, a legit grudge, which proves AEW trying to push forward what everyone wants to see more of, storytelling. Simply put, storytelling. Because not every story needs to have a title or needs to have some sort of title implication, and not every story needs to have some damn gimmick behind it. But also, not every wrestling match needs a story either, but each of these matches, to a degree, do have a story. So we're going to kick things off with a little bit of a story of a return to tag team action and big money on the line. Place your bets and let's see who wins $500,000 in this legitimate big money tag team match. Because it's the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, taking on Jurassic Express with, you are reading that right, $500,000 on the line. Simply put, folks, Jurassic Express lost the AEW Tag Team Championships to the Young Bucks a few years ago at Road Rager, before Christian Cage betrayed Jack Perry at the time. And you could literally fast forward the clock to history, where Luchasaurus went extinct, and a kill switch was engaged, and a certain man became a scapegoat, a sold-out man from Hollywood that's looking to basically recompense for his past sins. As we saw the return of Jurassic Express back in AEW Out after the Young Bucks failed to capture the AEW World Tag Team Championships in that 4-way ladder match, the Young Bucks are broke. The broke Bucks. So they're looking for a big money match, quote unquote. And Tony Khan has given them a chance with this. Not to mention, they've assaulted Jurassic Express since the return to tag team action. So legitimately, this is a tag team grudge renewed, as both men are looking for a bit of revenge and also a lot of money. In my opinion, the Young Bucks needed more than Jurassic Express when it comes to the money, but it doesn't mean that they're my pick. So, Emmanuel, that being said, the Young Bucks, the Broke Bucks, I'm not expecting to have any entrance. I'm not expecting to have any pyro, but at this point, they're desperate. So, again, desperate men do desperate things for money. How greed imprisons us all. But Jurassic Express, this is their second standard traditional match since they returned as a tag team. We just saw the AEW Homecoming, of course. Kenny Omega and Jack Perry prove they can coexist as they were able to get the better of the Don Callis family in trios action. So what's your thoughts towards this? Which team do you got winning 500K and getting the better of the other?
My question is, where did Tony Khan get the $500,000?
He's a billionaire, dude.
I get that, but like in kayfabe, it's like why would you give $500,000 to any wrestler? If I was a wrestler in this, I was booking WrestleDream, and I want a match. Where's my $500K, Tony? I'll just be honest, Noah. You'll be questioning like, where's my $500K if you're announcing matches in AEW?
I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair.
You want it in the spot. So
look, hey, you want a spot on the card, you get the payday, you get the winner's purse. Now you know how much the winner's purse worth, and I guess the loser gets nothing. So either way, money talks, losers walk.
Yeah. But my logic is,
oh God, go ahead. That's funny.
Yeah, but my logic is Jurassic Express just very came back. They had not. I don't think they won against the Young Bucks yet in their AEW careers. So it's time for them to get that win and for inspiring the Young Bucks into madness. Like they're losing matches. They're no longer EVPs. That's their storylines. Like they're going downhill ever since they lost their titles. So it's only a matter of time where they're eventually gonna probably go baby faces at some point. Because look at Barry Corbin when it was Chief Corbin, he lost everything. And I forget what that gimmick was called.
Well, he went for 250 different gimmicks, and he paid for all of them. And I'm not talking about monetary wise, but continue.
But yeah, like it's one of those storylines. Like, let's see how AEW, how far down the dumps can the Young Bucks go. I really want to see that on screen.
You want to see the Young Bucks continue the demise in the freaking broke dissension. That's cruel, but I appreciate it. Yeah, I agree. The last time Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks shared a ring. It was a triple threat, I believe, at Revolution for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And of course, Jurassic Express did win that night, but they didn't pin a buck. They pinned one half of Red Dragon. What our grave! Back when we had the Undisputed Elite, a whole different era, if I might say. So yeah, simply put, this match was like the easiest one to predict for me to think about. I had to go with Jurassic Express here. You're freaking kidding me. Then again, like I said, Bucks do desperate things. But at this point, who really cares? The Young Bucks win. I do find interesting, though, that Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks were face-to-face wondering, what the hell are you doing? So again, Kenny Omega did not forget his history with his former elite brethren that looked like a New Japan Pro Wrestling. Again, hindsight's 2020. Not much more to say here. So that's it for that. And I knew this was going to be a great opener because at the end of the day, Young Bucks opener. The end. Moving on. By the way, shout out to everybody that has been involved in the All Elite League. Here is the leaderboard. Currently, right now, Kyle Valamra and of course Greg Aldis and King Kieta. They are holding it down in a first place. So again, this is the top 30 folks. And figured about that has been participating. As my brother from AEW, King Adrian, is in third at 47 points. So everyone keep up. And of course, for Team No DQ, believe it or not, it's not just about WWE. I have convinced them and probably encouraged them what AEW is, but I am the greatest. As currently right now, I am holding it down with the best scores each night because I love this company. And honestly, papers are not that hard, but I haven't gotten it perfect yet. Followed by Dwayne Atkinson and Matthew Rosetta, and of course, Bossman Aaron Riff, which is very close. And JJ could do better. So again, folks, please join the fun in the All Elite Prediction League if you can, if you haven't already. As of course, we have 2 events left following this: AEW Full Gear and AEW World's End. And again, the forum will be out on my social medias, and you will have literally until, I'll be generous, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday night to make those predictions final. All right. Well, that being said, that was pretty simple. Let's go ahead and move away from tag team matching into a championship contention, shall we? Because we're going to see somebody man up, or we're going to say someone's full name, because it's time for their fifth singles encounter. It's one of those things when I look at professional wrestling, Emmanuel, there's always somebody that pushes you to your best, but sometimes has your number. So now we're going to get a rubber. From Continental Classic to Grudges to now the TNT Championship. Let's talk about the Protostar Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe 5 at WrestleDream for the TNT title. Mark Briscoe, who's been hell-bent on getting this TNT championship from the Protostar, originally tried to get a chance for this title against Kenoto Takeshita after MJF ruined it. But now that Mark Briscoe put MJF behind him and MJF went to go figure out himself, Mark Briscoe has been hell-bent on getting the TNT title, saying that is his destiny. And after the Don Callis family engaged El Clon to take out Hologram the conglomeration, Mark Briscoe is also coming in here for revenge. We just saw an AEW Homecoming Collision, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe involved in that trios match, and both men ended up brawling to the backstage area, while, of course, Brodito was able to get the better of Lance Archer and Rock Romero. We'll talk more about them later. As I said, this is their fifth encounter. They have shared wins and losses in and out of not only the Owen Hart Foundation tournament at previous pay-per-view AEW Dynasty, they have also shared a win and loss at the Continental Classic. In fact, Mark Briscoe was the undoing of Kyle Fletcher's undefeated streak in last year's Continental Classic, and that tournament, folks, is coming back again this year. The Pro Star, though, has been a whole different level this year, though, Emmanuel, since winning the TNT title from Dustin Rhodes, with wins over Tomohiro Ishii, Hiromu Takahashi, as well as numerous others, including the Battle of Kyle's, Kyle O'Reilly. In fact, he's coming off a successful defense at AEW Title Tuesday. So, again, it's hard to bet against the Pro Star at this point, who, in my opinion, is one of the leaders of the future for AEW, as he looks to hold down to become the greatest TNT champion of all time. That's his legacy that he's forging. But again, Mark Briscoe, he's looking for that destiny, and he has yet to hold gold in AEW. So what do you think about this singles grudge match for the TNT Championship? And they're 2-2, by the way.
Yeah, I kind of thrown in this match, to be honest, because it'd be poetic if Mark Briscoe finally gets the title finally after so many years of AEW. But I don't see it. Like my brain's telling me that Kyle Fletcher is the future. Unfortunately, Mark Briscoe's up there. Like, I'm not sure how long he's going to keep wrestling. Maybe to up to his 50s. I'm not sure. I don't know how his body is holding up, to be honest. But something tells me Tony Khan is going to try to make sure that Kyle Fletcher defends his title with great prestige and make him a standout star. That way, once he drops the title, when he goes for the main title for the AEW Championship, everybody believes it. Everybody want to go behind him. So I think Kyle Fletcher, probably by cheating, will sneak out the victory.
Okay. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I will say this about the Don Callis family. They have had the numbers, but since Kyle Fletcher's won the TNT title, he's won each match on his own. No involvement by the Don Callis family whatsoever. He's been a commendable, honorable, aggressive fighting champion. And Mark Briscoe, who's always ready to man up and fight till he can't fight no more and keep fighting. Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe push each other to be better, in my opinion. So I do agree with you, though, that Kyle Fletcher is going to retain, but I am curious what the outlook of this match is going to be, not only ahead of the Continental Classic, but for the ongoing battle of, let's just call it at the end of the day, it's the conglomeration versus the Don Callis family at the forefront. Let's not forget, the last time we saw Kyle Fletcher involved in singles action was Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy for the TNT Championship, and Clone showed up out of the freaking corrupted Matrix code and screwed Freshly Squeezed. So it is one of those things, though, where we've only seen one possible interference spot since Kyle Fletcher's been the TNT champion, that maybe Don Callis might feel a little desperate and think that's needed and might engage a Clone again. To your point also, we saw Kyle Fletcher challenge for the AEW Championship for the first time ever, AEW out, commendable effort, but it was not his time. So I do think that he is a future WWE champion, but for now, he might be the strongest foundation we've seen for the TNT Championship since, God forbid, who was the last one that had the TNT Championship for a long duration? Miro, Darby Allin's first run, Cody Rhodes, the inaugural champion. I mean, it's been hard finding a concrete face of TNT. Christian Cage, when he held it hostage, I'll give credit where credit's due, held it for a period of time. Derek Garcia was a fine champion. But I think Kyle Fletcher could really take this title far and probably become the longest TNT champion in this company's existence. So I agree with you. I think the Protostar is going to retain too. And again, TV title matches, folks, 20-minute time limit, I believe, except on pay-per-view, I think it's 30. But again, someone could fact check me on that. But still, I'm looking forward to this because whenever Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe fight, it's like they fight forever. I love it. All right. With that being said, nice and simply put, let's go ahead. I don't think Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher are going to get hurt, but they hurt people. They hurt people. We're picking it up again. Oh, and this time, this graphic is out of date. King, botch. This is a tornado trios match. The Demand, Gates of Agonies, and Ricochet once again renew hostilities with the Hurt Syndicate. MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and the Almighty Bobby Lashley, the best dressed complete faction across all professional wrestling. Don't at me. Straight up, we've seen the history of Ricochet and MVP unfold here in AEW after Ricochet was punked out like a little spoiled kid being a kiss ass. Since then, Ricochet decided to get a couple of men to be in his corner, and they call themselves the men because when you command respect, you demand everything. We've already seen in trios action, literally back at AEW All Out, it was the demand that got the better of the Hurt Syndicate in traditional trios action. But we also saw in a fight, a ridiculous street fight that was freaking awesome, back at AEW Homecoming Daily's Place Dynamite, it was the Hurt Syndicate that yeeted Ricochet through a freaking table in the corner, good God almighty, and Bobby Lashley in a $1,000 suit kicked their ass. And it was MVP on the 24th, I believe, anniversary, I think, of his wrestling career, beat Ricochet in a fight, and Ricochet as a man got humbled by the Hurt Syndicate. So technically speaking, when you look at these two trios, they're 1-1. This is a rubber, and now it's Tornado. Tax doesn't matter. All hell breaks loose. We just saw the Gates of Agony get the first ever tag win over the Hurt Syndicate in tag team match. The first time the Hurt Syndicate's been pinned as a duo. Of course, talking about Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. This past, of course, Homecoming Dynamite when Ricochet, like a bat of hell, shot a spirit gun behind the referee's back. But it's also one of those things where I look at this being not a fight, but as Tornado, it's kind of a hybrid when you look at the history of the Hurt Syndicate and the Demand, where it's rubber, but I could see it go either way. It comes down to this. What is the future of either of these two sides? We've already seen the Gates of Agony challenge for the tag titles. We have not seen the Demand challenge for the trios titles. And Hurt Syndicate to be out for either trios championships or be as singles. And Lord knows that MVP's knees are not like a fresh spring daisy here. I don't know how many more matches MVP has left per se. One more time, though, we're getting on top of as Porter from the 305, don the boots and tights. But it isn't the last time for the Playmaker. That being said, Emmanuel, let's go balling. Who you got winning this Trios Tornado tag match? The Hurt Syndicate or the Demand? Ricochet and the Gates of Agony.
Oh, hopefully this is not a Vince McMahon 50-50 booking or WWE booking. I have to go with the Demand for the win because MVP is really like you said, like I don't know how many matches he has left. And this is a good opportunity if he costs the Hurt Syndicate the match. That way they kick him out and he could retire peacefully. This really could be wrestling anymore. He could just be the mouthpiece. I don't know if he wants to be the mouthpiece as much as possible in AEW. That's what he does best. But yeah, I mean, like I'm not sure where the direction of the Hurt Syndicate is going at this point. I'm not sure if Tony Khan feels like it runs its course. That's why they already lost their momentum per se. So I think the Demand needs to have this victory. That way, MVP is going to be taking the fall. I had this feeling. So
you're figuring it's going to be similar to AEW All Out, where MVP is the fall guy once again, even though all hell is going to break loose here and tax don't matter. You think the same result's going to happen with MVP being the fall person here again?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know, man. Well, this is why I love City Predicting. This is why I love professional wrestling. Guess what, folks? For the first time tonight, Emmanuel, I disagree with you. I think the Hurt Syndicate is going to get the better in this trios affair in their trilogy. Let's not forget, Ricochet and the Gates of Added Demand cost the Hurt Syndicate impromptly the AEW Tag Team Championships at Forbidden Door. That's when this thing truly escalated and the Demand was born. We've already seen the Demand get the better of the Hurt Syndicate in trios action, and then we got a street fight. They're 1-1. But I also look at who has more to offer. I think about here at the end of the day, if the Hurt Syndicate wants to move away from the Demand, they need to get the victory from them. They don't necessarily have to continue as a trio, but I do think they need to find a new story, a new rivalry. I think they need to find a new business plan. As far as Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, it's the Obnoxious Heel faction. They're going to make sure they demand your attention. They command your respect. Whether you like them or not, Ricochet is that annoying gnat, more annoying than Big Stoke, that's going to find a way to make himself part of the conversation. And again, we just saw the Ops still hold the Trios Championships, by the way, against Los Fashion League of Nobles. So again, don't count out Demand going after that, regardless of win or loss here. But I think the Hurt Syndicate is actually going to get the win here and maybe boost themselves back towards either tag title contention or even prepare themselves for the Continental Classic. Again, the Continental Classic is going to kick off after Full Gear. Last year, we saw Shelton Benjamin involved. This year, I want to see Bobby Lashley run roughshod. We've already gotten teasers of that meat match that we haven't had a decisive winner either with Toa Liona and Bobby Lashley. So at the end of the day, I think the Hurt Syndicate is going to finally close the book on this business arrangement with the Demand and get the win. I got the Hurt Syndicate going over here, and I do like the fact you did that callback with All Out because it was MVP whose needs were exposed and exploited by Ricochet and the Man to get the win at All Out. If Ricochet goes after that again, I think MVP scouts that, gets the better of him, and I think MVP pins Ricochet to close the book on this. That's why I'm going with the Hurt Syndicate here.
Real quick, Noah, you have to remember that even though MJF is in hiatus, he might cost the Hurt Syndicate the match. They're the ones who kicked him out of the Hurt Syndicate. We haven't had a resolution from this storyline yet. So, and his honeymoon's pretty much over. So, I think it's it'll make sense that if MJF takes maybe interferes in this match, because if not, then what's the point of MJF even joining the Hurt Syndicate if he's not gonna feud with them? So,
well, it's also one of those things that I do wonder, do you pick that up now? Do you pick that up next year? How long does it take for MJF to find exactly who he is again? And to your point, he damn sure made it personal with Bob. And even though he doesn't have the AEW World Championship, next time Bobby Lashley sees him, it'll be anything but business, title or no title. So you do bring up an interesting idea of MJF returning here and screwing the Hurt Syndicate. But I just don't see that happening yet. So for now, I'm going to say the Hurt Syndicate moves forward to new business. But I do think you are onto something there with MJF not being done with them by a long shot. But I think it's time for them to move on from the Demand. I think the Demand has ran its course in this business plan. Hurt Syndicate for the win. All right. Well, that being said, that was fun to talk about. Now let's go ahead and talk about a fun tag title match. I was talking about cause and effect. Tag title implications maybe being involved here. Again, the Hurt Syndicate never were pinned when they lost the tag team championships. I'm just saying. But can these two coexist? Bitch. Let's talk about the AEW Tag Team Championship match that's now booked. Brodito. Of course, they bring up on their world champion Bandito and Brody King. They, of course, defend the AEW Tag Team Championships against, you are looking at that right, folks, the brand new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, the Alpha Kanote Takeshita, and the reigning and defending AEW Unified Champion, the Red Mecca, Kazuchika Okada. They literally earned this opportunity at Title Tuesday when the title match was a double Jeopardy match, where, of course, if Konosuke Okada lost, Brodito would have got a shot at the Unified Championship, basically got the pin. It didn't happen, though. And almost it was set up for this after Hechicero almost tore Bandito's shoulder out of its socket in Arena, Mexico. Bottom line, though, miscommunication aside, Konosuke and Okada did pin the AEW Tag Team Champions. And now they have a chance to bring the gold home to the Don Callis family. But here's a further story to think about. Konosuke, who was wishing Don Callis happy birthday, Okada, so sorry, I hit the wrong button. Yeah, sure you did. That was not intentional at all, right? We're trying to figure out who's better between Okada and the Alpha. Teases to come. And Okada is a champion. Konosuke is a champion. I'm just saying. The definition of can these two coexist has never been more predominant. As the AEW Tag Team Champions are coming up, not only that successful fatal four-way ladder match AEW All Out, but that successful tag title defense against, as I said earlier, the Gates of Agony, immediately the dynamite after the All Out pay-per-view. Now Bordito finds himself once again in the crosshairs of the Don Callis family's two strongest players, but probably the two biggest egos ever. Something tells me after this match, Emmanuel, Don Callis is going to have to make a choice who truly is his golden child in this family. At first, we thought it was the Alpha, but insert Kenny Omega, insert Will Ospreay, insert Kazuchika Okada, not in that order. Now you have Konosuke Takeshita and Okada, who are on the road to a one-on-one classic, maybe in the Tokyo Dome, maybe next year Revolution, maybe next year at a stage we don't know. But to get there, I think we're going to have a little bit of a fallout here. Not to mention, Konosuke just challenged Okada for the AEW Unified Championship back at All Out in that triple threat with Mascara Dorada, and Konosuke was not involved in the decision. His heart was drop kicked out of his chest after Okada hit the Rainmaker Mascara Dorada to retain. And Konosuke has not forgotten that. And there's no doubt in my mind the first we're going to see is Okada and Konosuke face to face with both their championships up in the air. I think this match result is a no-brainer, but the aftermath is more intriguing. But either way, I got the tag team champions retaining. What about you?
I agree with you. Like, I think this is just a setup of them miscommunicating and planting the seeds of them fighting for the international AEW. I forget the title's name.
AEW Unified Championship. Botch.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Thank you. Because I know they changed the name, so I was like, I know it's an international championship, but they're probably named by now, so I don't know what it's called. But yeah, they're gonna fight for that title. So and that's how they plan the seeds. They're gonna be more dissension between those two, and I'm not sure when do you pull the trigger, to be honest, Noah. You pull it right now, or you pull it till the next pay-per-view. That's when the breakup happens. So I'm kind of in between.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Continue.
Because I don't know, like, I'm not sure if you want to do it on television, like on free TV. It's more poetic if you see it on pay-per-view. It'd be more memorable than a random episode of Dynamite or Collision. Like, it's for me, it's like it has to be in the pay-per-view. So expect a breakup pretty soon. I'm thinking next pay-per-view, but maybe I'm wrong. So.
Well, I mean, to your point, last year at WrestleDream, what happened? Kyle Fletcher turned on his brother Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay lost the AEW International Championship to Konosuke Takeshita. Konosuke Takeshita was the golden child of Don Callis' family after Will Ospreay, with a moral code, called Don Callis out for his BS ever since they lost the tag team championships, the Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay last year at Grand Slam. So do not be surprised if Don Callis pulls another coup in the invisible hand, pulls his play card here after the match, if not during it, because I think even Don Callis realizes at this point, Okada is probably more profitable in his own mind than Konosuke Takeshita. The Alpha might have ran his course. At the end of the day, not only did Okada beat literally Don Callis' former family, Kenny by God Omega, Okada's been the most predominant champion right now in AEW for the last 500 plus days, with I think literally only one pinfall loss to Bryan Danielson. So I do think that there is going to be something to give. But to your point, I think they tease it on Dynamite. Tensions continue to build. And I do think Don Callis, screwdriver to come into play, will allow Okada to hit a Rainmaker on Konosuke and send Konosuke out of the family.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Konosuke Takeshita is the first member. Takeshita. My bad. Like, right. He's the first member of the Don Callis family. So I think he's gonna be the first, finally get out because he's the first member. Time for him to move on.
Yeah, we want to see Mr. Cinnabon arrive once again as a babyface that wants to unify professional wrestling business at the strongest there is. To do that, you gotta beat Okada. You don't have to be with him. You have to beat Mr. Big Match. Otherwise, you are nothing more than his bitch. So yeah, either way, tag champions retain, and Don Callis will very soon question the family values of the Alpha towards his itinerary. Either way, this should be a fun match. I'm just waiting to see Kanosuke and Okada bicker. I want to see somebody actually hit the other with either a Rainmaker or straight murder. That's what I want to see. But this is going to be a fun match, to say the least. And I do wonder the condition of Bandito's arm. And again, is this Don Callis' last chance to go after Bandito's Radar World Championship? Or could we be setting up something maybe towards Final Battle? Again, there's more things here that meets the eye. Just saying. All right. But that was fun. Let's go ahead and while we talk about two of the hardest hitters in professional wrestling, you know how much I love bitches that hit hard in professional wrestling, right? Well, it doesn't get more utterly told with that statement than these two. I can't fucking wait for this sleeper. Thekla goes one-on-one for the first time ever against, I'm a hater, Jamie Hayter. I've been waiting for this match for a long fucking time. Of course, Jamie Hayter was a finalist in the Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament, took on Mercedes Moné for that championship, and unfortunately lost. The day after Double or Nothing, the Toxic Spider arrived and ushered in her madness in AEW, clocking Jamie Hayter and putting her out indefinitely. It wasn't until Forbidden Door that Jamie Hayter returned to try to take the head off Thekla with some Haterade as the Triangle Madness was born with Julia Hart and Sky Blue prior to that. Since then, Jamie Hayter, Sky Blue, Julia Hart, Queen Amina, and Thekla. Things truly escalated, though, after Jamie Hayter decked freaking Julia Hart in a singles match, picking up that rivalry and winning the who got involved after the fact. And of course, this led to Jamie Hayter giving 3 words that she had epiphany towards finishing things out with these bitches. Blood and guts! Of course, we have Blood and Guts coming up next month, November 12th, with the women for the first time ever. God help this division. I love this freaking division. And we also just saw Jamie Hayter beat Sky Blue one-on-one, literally at AEW Homecoming Collision. As Thekla said, you know why I picked you? You were just a target at the time. You were just there. You were just a coincidence. But here, I want you to impress me. I'll tell you one thing, someone's going to leave an impression on the other quite physically, by the way, and I can't wait to see who. So bottom line, does Jamie Hayter hit harder than Thekla's toxicity and madness that's been running roughshod here in All Elite Wrestling? And who picks up a little bit of momentum ahead of Blood and Guts? Might I add, Thekla and the Triangle Madness technically have not accepted that Blood and Guts offer, but every chance they've gotten, they have assaulted Jamie Hayter and Queen Amina backstage, and vice versa. And don't count out the Sisters of Sin, Sky Blue and Julia Hart or Queen Amina showing up here and not getting involved. Again, like I said, this is special. For the first time ever in a long time in AEW history, we have a women's singles grudge match. Pure and simple, based on pure animosity. No gimmick, no championship, no tournament eliminator implications. The last time I recall something like this happening, I think, was literally Saraya versus Steinberger DMD at Full Gear literally 3 years ago. So that goes to show that, again, you don't need a stipulation to have a great match at a wrestling pay-per-view. Learn something, business. So, Emmanuel, it's a first time ever one-on-one, and again, both women, former Stardom competitors, never have met each other one-on-one in the ring. It's a first time ever one-on-one encounter with Blood and Guts looming and Jamie Hayter, who, by the way, if y'all did not go watch Jamie Hayter's interview with Denise Salcedo, highly encourage you to. Loved it. Great, wholesome conversation. Jamie Hayter right now is just wanting to hit everybody hard, finding herself, getting comfortable again in the ring with who she is, and also getting back to where she was. And let's not forget, by the way, Emmanuel, Jamie Hayter and Thekla are also involved in the Fatal 4-Way at the AEW Out Preview for the Women's World Championship, and both women took each other out of the equation. So who you got winning this first ever singles grudge match ahead of their collision course for Blood and Guts?
To be honest, Noah, this is the first time I go to see Thekla fight. I've never seen her fight before. I know what Jamie Hater provides, but it makes sense at the new woman in the block in AEW. Tekla gets the victory. It's her first pay per view. I'm thinking is it her first pay per view or did she?
Singles
This
match,
is the last
yes.
one.
Singles match,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Remember, last time it all out, they were involved in the Fatal 4 Women's Championship, but you're right. Singles match. And to your point, Thekla has yet to be pinned or submitted in AEW.
Yeah. So like a loss for Jamie Hayter doesn't really affect her as much, to be honest. She's in the she wins some to lose some. She doesn't get hurt if she gets the pin, she eats the pin or gets the submission. So I'm going for Tekla for the win in this one.
Okay, that's fair. Well, again, this is where usually one prediction bites me in the ass because every prediction show that I've done for AEW, I missed the pay-per-view card by one match because sometimes I think with my heart versus my mind. And I'm torn here because blood and guts, absolute hell is going to be unleashed. You don't know what to expect. Even Jamie Hayter right now is fearful of what the fuck we're going to do to each other inside that cage surrounding those two rings. But again, that's November 12th. But you got to consider whoever comes out of here the victor has to go into blood and guts, possibly your decider to be the fall people. And again, blood and guts is team based, all right? It's not going to come down to like a singles competitor. But I do wonder, with this being the first time, how much does this escalate towards both women's pursuits in becoming an AEW Women's World Champion? As Thekla says, I'm not done with neither of you bitches. Talking about Chris Statlander and Thomas Tony Storm, my main event per se. And of course, she's saying she's not going to stop until this entire division is toxic. But to your point, I watched Thekla during her run in Stardom, where she literally got fired assaulting the president. But I also saw her entire run so far in AEW against Queen Aminata, Harley Cameron, you name it, and I've absolutely freaking loved it. So it's one of those things right now that I look at this match, and once again, probably going to cause me to point, I don't give a damn. I'm a hater for life. I disagree with you. I'm going with Jamie Hayter here for a couple of reasons. Jamie Hayter did say that she's looking forward to this. A one-on-one match to prove who the better woman is. But Thekla has friends, the Sisters of Sin, the Triangle of Madness, that have been a thorn in Jamie Hayter's side for the longest time since they came together. And also Queen Aminata hates spiders. I think Queen Aminata gets involved here and finally gets a little bit of revenge against Thekla, who, might I add, Thekla owes 2 victories over her in singles action. Once in a while, you don't necessarily need to win straight out on your first singles pay-per-view. She's been involved in AEW now for literally about 5 months and has already had a hell of a run and has already seamlessly transitioned to the American scene, quite literally. So I think that honestly, I think it's going to be a little bit of gang mentality here on both sides, where the numbers still favor Triangle Madness, and I think we get more of an aftermath of that after the fact, with Jamie Hayter winning. At the end of the day, she doesn't have to take Thekla's head off with Haterade. She just has to get the 3 count here. For all I know, she might get her in a small package. But I'm going with Jamie Hayter here for the win. I want Jamie Hayter to kick Thekla's ass and surprise her. What did Thekla says? Impress me. How do you impress Thekla? You shock her, giving her first loss, pinfall in All Elite Wrestling. I'm going with Jamie Hayter.
I kind of figured you would.
Well, again, I have context behind my decisions, but also I am All Elite for live since day 0, and I met Jamie Hayter live in Cincinnati, so I have a warmness, fondness for her. Plus, proper Brit, I love her attire. She's the only redhead right now that I trust in this wrestling business, better than Becky Lynch. So I said what I said. So at the end of the day, Jamie Hayter, former Stardom champion, SWA Undisputed champion, not full of herself, living in the moment, fighting all the time, and again, fan of Stardom, fan of Pro Wrestling Eve. I'm going to support Jamie Hayter because I'm a hater for life. And I think Jamie Hayter is going to get a big win here. Again, she has not gotten a big win yet on pay-per-view since her return. And I think she's due for one. So I'm going with Jamie Hayter. Just saying. But I love the fact that it hasn't been just a straight up back and forth conversation. And again, this right here is going to be one of my super matches of the night. I can't wait for this. All right. Well, let's just be honest here, Emmanuel. In the history of professional wrestling lately, WAEW, there's been these duo or triple main events. We've only got 3 matches left. Let's go ahead and get into them, shall we? Let's start with the AEW World Championship as Heyman Page goes one-on-one against Samoa Joe. We have 3 matches left, folks, so it's time for the hat trick. as of course him and Adam Page was able to free the title from that briefcase and beat the Death Riders thanks to the assistance of the Ops. And he is not afraid to admit that. As we saw in the intense confrontation at AEW Dynamite's 6th anniversary, everything him and Adam Page said about what the Ops did for him, what Heyman has been towards this championship, Samoa Joe said is absolutely true. But Samoa Joe lost himself in a way. His vendetta against the Death Riders made him forget exactly who he is. Tension arose when Samoa Joe reminded exactly the world who he is during that trios match where him and Adam Page went to the Ops aid to beat the Death Riders in trios action that night, and Samoa Joe felt disrespected. Or did he? Him and Adam Page has committed arson, was once asked to be married to, and has literally had the ups and downs galore more than anyone else in AEW. And he was the most confused in his life until he realized what Samoa Joe says. You haven't beaten me. Last time Samoa Joe and him and Adam Page shared a ring, Samoa Joe put him and Adam Page to sleep. AEW Revolution in 2024, might I add, in triple threat action. Samoa Joe, him and Adam Page have never had a one-on-one match. It's a first ever one-on-one encounter. As him and Adam Page looks to hope that Samoa Joe beats him within an inch of his life, expects nothing less, but afterwards, when he loses to the better man, he will look at him, shake his hand, and know that him and Adam Page is the champion of the fucking world. While Samoa Joe looks to prove to him that you will give the world exactly what it deserves. A real champion. Seeing him and Adam Page as nothing more but a poser. So we're going to test both these men's resolve here when it comes to who deserves to call himself a World Champion. Whereas Samoa Joe, again, he hasn't held that title since losing it to basically Swerve Strickland back at Dynasty, back literally last year. So Samoa Joe, him and Adam Page, first time ever one-on-one encounter. And this will be, of course, him and Adam Page's third defense of the AEW World Championship in his second run. It's one of those things where I look at the history of Samoa Joe and him and Adam Page, the longevity to the business, not to mention Samoa Joe, talking about how long he's been involved here, by the way, folks, 25 years. He is still the AEW Trios champion. I was really thinking that Trios championship match would give me an idea that Samoa Joe could take this from Heyman, but they retained. Not only that, afterwards, him and Adam Page and Samoa Joe did have a mutual face-to-face in the ring as Joe had the towel in his hand. Samoa Joe is probably winding down also for all we know, okay? You think about John Cena's final match is going to be in December, much to your happiness. We know AJ Styles is going to wrap up next year, and Samoa Joe, again, been going at this 25 years. The jury is out whether or not he's going to finish up here soon, and we just saw the Dudleys officially retire. I don't want to call Samoa Joe a guy that can't be world champion again, but it's just looking at the implications and how soon this is to test Heyman's resolve and give Samoa Joe that one last shine. I do think Heyman Page is going to retain. What do you think about this championship match here, Emmanuel? What do you think?
I agree with you, Noah. Adam Page, the Cowboys, going to retain it. I'm not sure, like, if it's true or not, Noah. I don't want to persuade the people who do the predictions of this panel. But I've read somewhere that Samoa Joe is considered retirement as well. So, yeah. So, like, he's going to do the AJ Styles. I think next year will be his last, from what I read, but I'm not sure if it's true. You know how people make up stuff or not. If it's true, yeah. So if it's true, then I don't see him gain the title back. He's gonna just, pull over people who want to wrestle, get some victories, some pull over people where he does best. But yeah, I mean, like, he's like Samoa Joe has done it all. He was amazing TNA champion. I'm saying if this is in case if he is retired, he's been a great champion. He was a great champion in TNA, NXT, the Black and Gold era. We don't talk about we don't talk about the WWE run. Yeah, we don't talk about the WWE run because fuck WWE for that one. They screwed that one up.
Poncho Joe, good Lord Almighty. Continue.
Yeah, they screwed that one up. He should have just got the title, the Great Balls of Fire, but that's a different story. anyways, in AEW, like he got this time, like he was a great champion. He was an excellent champion. Probably top five. I probably even top three. Most
He
of
certainly was a
AEW.
dominant champion for the duration and made sure Strickland earned that title at Dynasty. I'll tell you that much. Continue.
But yeah, he's in my top three AEW world champions, and
Wow.
it's gonna be telling. Yeah, it's gonna be telling if this in this match if it's a say straight up match with no interference, Adam Page is gonna retain, and I'm not sure who's gonna dethrone the Cowboy at this point of the game, but they have till next year to book whoever that person's going to be, because right now the Cowboys like the Cody Rhodes right now. He's the face of AEW, and you go if you enjoy that type of champion, then you gonna love AEW. But if you don't, this is gonna be a long road ahead, because trust me, I seen the Cena run. I did not like the Cena run.
Here we go.
I,
You had to
but
get the Cena burned there eventually, didn't you?
yeah, yeah, I had to, because this is a crime that this is not named in bad type of pay per view. Maybe it is, but it's one of those things like if you love AEW, you're gonna have to suffer through this. If you're not an Page fan, then you're gonna suffer. You're gonna suffer to this time because he's you prefer somebody else. If but if you like him, you're gonna enjoy this type of run, like and everything like that. But it's gonna be telling if in the end of the match
That's fair.
if they shake hands and everything like that, that's telling. Samoa Joe's retiring if he gets respect out of Joe.
That's fair. And again, Samoa Joe is going to try and probably put the Hangman to sleep once again. That Coquina clutch is lethal, as El Jalistico learned this past Wednesday on a Dynamite Collision 3-hour go home special. So I do get what you're saying. But yeah, Hangman Page, you talk about the journey of the Hangman through 2 years of own personal turmoil and hell. By the way, there's going to be something coming out of the YouTube channel here, The Good, the Bad, and the Hangman, I believe, telling the journey of the Hangman and what the man Hangman Page has we've come to know him to be, I think, pretty soon here. Go check it out if you can, folks. But I also get him and Page breathing new life in AEW to bring the prestige back to the AEW Men's World Championship, to raise this title to the point that it is the most sought after thing, the most precious thing in this business. And right now, Hangman Page on his second run is really pushing that narrative forward. But I also look at this. My friend in ATW did show me something that someone might be ready. Last year at WrestleDream, a certain Switchblade beat Hangman Page not once, but twice, back-to-back pay-per-views. And Hangman Page and Jay White have a very tumultuous history, considering the first time they faced each other, Hangman injured him, took him out of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. You were talking about return of MJF. This could be the return of the Switchblade that might look to once again renew hostilities with Hangman Page. So whether or not that's Hangman Page's next itinerary that could be facing him, a champion always has a target on his back. And between Will Ospreay, who had sister surgery, and who knows when he might return, Swerve Strickland, where he and, of course, Hangman buried the hatchet, Swerve Strickland on injury for right now, MJF and Hangman, who have defined AEW's existence since day one, as MJF not only is out to try and figure out exactly who he is, he still has a guaranteed shot for the AEW World Championship 1 week later after calling it. So there is definitely a number of targets that could be after Hangman Page in his crosshairs, and he knows that. Whether or not he has enough buckshot lariats in his revolver for all that, we have to wait and see if he gets through Samoa Joe. As far as Samoa Joe goes, the man that has defined the business for 25 years, earned when he speaks, you listen. I absolutely do agree with you. And again, when you face Samoa Joe, he tests you not only as a wrestler, he tests you as a man. And right now, I think he's testing Hangman Page for the value of him towards that AEW World Championship. And I think Hangman somehow surviving Samoa Joe will add to that. So I do think that Hangman is going to retain as well, just like you.
Yeah, there's only one rant I have for you, Noah. I'm surprised that not like you know how people steal the tombstone, the sharpshooter, the fear for etc.
Yeah.
I'm surprised nobody has stole Samoa Joe, and the wrestler go.
The nope. The nope.
Nope. I'm surprised more wrestlers don't do that. Like, why is Joe the only one doing that?
Because I'm pretty sure if someone else did that, Samoa Joe would make them say, "Nope, don't do that again." But yeah, that is another thing. Hindsight, I didn't even think about that. But either way, this is going to be Heyman and Page. It's physical hell. He's in for a hard time. Good luck, cowboy. All right. With that being said, let's go into our semi-main. And fuck it, it's my show. I'm doing things my way. Don't give a damn what people think. Because if you don't like it, then you can quit. Emmanuel, God forbid, what the fuck is going to take for one of these two men who don't have I quit in their dictionary? Darby Allin and Jon Moxley, folks, is happening again. And this time it's the first ever I quit match. Let your thoughts, let your last rites, let your craziest shit come now out to fruition. Because if this is not the endgame of these two, I fear for both their lives. Jesus Christ. Let's go ahead and bring people up to speed. Folks, this story is 1 year and hopefully its finale. Last year at Grand Slam, Jon Moxley took Darby Allin's AEW Championship opportunity where he said he wasn't ready. And of course, 1 year ago at this stage, WrestleDream gave Bryan Danielson Warrior's death and seized the AEW Championship and suffocated and broken the man in front of Darby Allin. Darby Allin has not forgiven Jon Moxley, the only man he looked up to in this business when he didn't think he had a reason to live in life, despite the fact his uncle tried to kill him when he was 6 years old in a freaking car accident, now lives every day like it's truly his last. Jon Moxley was the only light he saw because he was unconventional and he was somebody that took no shit. These two have shared the ring over the AEW Championship during the pandemic, where at one point Jon Moxley said, "You can ride with me anytime." Jon Moxley says that nobody loves Darby Allin like him. No one understands Darby Allin like him. No one appreciates Darby Allin like him. It's almost one of those things where I look at that face to face in a prison, might I add, behind a bulletproof speaker glass, where Jon Moxley and Darby Allin saw themselves in each other. But Jon Moxley made something very poetic here. Darby Allin, you're not fighting me. You're fighting yourself. You're an adrenaline junkie. You're trying to prove that you're anything but mortal, fighting immortality, literally risking life and limb to live every day, to see what doesn't kill you, climbing a mountain, being thrown down flight of stairs, hit by a bus, skateboarding, being an extremist, and adrenaline for the business. I've been there. I know that. Jon Moxley has been there, and he's fought those demons and overcame them. Again, we talked about Jon Moxley's strengths. It's coming to AEW when he ushered in a paradigm shift. But again, the game here is different. It's not about putting somebody in a coffin. It's not about pinning somebody. It's not about submitting somebody. It's not about putting somebody down for a 10 count. You have to break, I don't know what, in one of these two men to force them to say, I quit. And Emmanuel, a very telltale was shown here when Darby Allin showed up like someone out of AMC's The Walking Dead. Not only was he bludgeoned brutally and badly during that face-to-face when Pac literally kept on bashing his face in that plexiglass, somehow Darby Allin, like a cadaver, walked into collision against all the Death Riders, had to be an uppercut to hell, kicked by Marina Shafir, hit by Daniel Garcia, wiped out by Yuta, wiped out again by Pac, crawled in the ring with that AEW flag that he took to Mount Everest, says, I'm going to choke the life out of you with this flag. It's never too late to say I quit. And Jon Moxley looked down at him, hit him with a Death Rider, left the building. At this point, I don't know if Jon Moxley knows what he has to do against Darby Allin and fears what he needs to do to stop Darby Allin, and vice versa. And we see what Darby Allin's willing to do to take everything from Jon Moxley. People for the longest time have been clamoring for Jon Moxley to take a vacation, take a break. Say what you will about the Death Riders. Say what you will about Jon Moxley. He has been the face, the light, the dark, the carry for AEW since the company's existence. Bite me to think otherwise. Respect to the Death Rider. But seriously, Emmanuel, what the fuck else do you do with these two men in an I quit match beyond this? If neither man quits, we gotta get an end here. So straight up I ask you, have we witnessed the final ride of the Death Rider Jon Moxley? And for the first time in Jon Moxley's life, does he fucking quit? Who you got winning?
I have to go for Darby Allin. Like the the Death Riders has run its course. Like I'm not sure what you do with them more. Like they did their statement. I mean, like, and I'm not sure where you go with them anymore. The only way Darby Allin loses, called back 1998, I think it was 1997.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
War,
about.
War Rumble, Mick Foley, Mankind versus The Rock, pre-recorded. I quit. I quit. The Darby Allin
Emmanuel, Emmanuel, John Moxley and Darby Allin are not going to show mercy to each other. There is not going to
Oh,
be a
I know.
mercy win. There's no way in hell they're doing that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. You know how The Rock pre-recorded Mankind saying "I quit," doing that recording, and that's how
Yes.
that's how they call a match. Unless Darby Allin at one point said "I quit" during the AEW build-up, I'm not sure, to be honest. If he said those words, they could have easily pre-recorded that too, and cost him the match just like that, and we could have relived that again. But like I said, like I'm not sure. I'm kind of mixed because they had Daniel Garcia turn heel and join the Death Riders, so I'm not sure if they have more life, like the bloodline, like that should have been gone a long time ago type of scenario, and they keep going and going. They were like, "It's done. Why do we keep doing this?" But
Right.
people love it, and sadly, the Death Rider is the opposite of that. I'm not sure if this is the great idea for them to continue because I'm not sure if people now like the Death Riders now as heels. I'm not sure if their opinions of them has changed, but the last time I heard that it's pretty much the same. But unless I'm wrong, like I haven't seen any new complaints about the Death Riders, but I think has to be Darby Allin's way to get that victory. Oh no, Death Riders going to continue until next year, sadly. I'm not sure how you break them up at this point because either John Moxley's going to get kicked out and they're going to continue without him, or I'm not sure. For me, I'm returned. So, like I said, I fear Darby Allin's going to get screwed somehow, and his words will when the camera's not looking, he says the word "I quit" over the megaphone, and that's how he loses when he never said it. And type of scenario, but Darby Allin needs to win this.
My greatest fear is Brian Danielson. Brian Danielson is now part of AEW commentary. Prior to the coffin match, AEW out, Darby Allin asked Brian Danielson to promise him you would not get involved no matter what happens to me. Was that extent just for that pay-per-view or for this saga? Again, this has to be a finale. If Brian Danielson's on commentary, do you think he would quit on Darby Allin's own well-being or behalf? Because at the end of the day, neither of these men, I figure, are willing to go and say, I quit. And whether or not Rhea Shafir says I quit, Rhea Shafir has been willing to take a bullet every time for John Moxley. Maybe I shouldn't say that because God forbid. But also, to your point, John Moxley does have an army. Will John Moxley want to do this by himself? Will every Defrag get involved? Will Gabe Kidd get involved here again this year? It's really one of those things where I fear that this still will not be over. And also, to your point, the Death Riders did add Daniel Garcia to the ranks. Is there another one to be added? John Moxley's army that shows up out of nowhere for the first time ever. A ghost of Darby Allin's past, a new signed wrestler. There's a whole level of unknown outside the danger here with these two men in this stipulation where anything fucking goes. We know that these two are bloody batshit crazy, and they will literally destroy each other's bodies, and they're all in the process to force the other to say, I quit. This is going to be by force, because if a body gives out, it's not I quit unless they say I quit. And I don't think the referee is going to call it underneath that stipulation. But it's also one of those things where I look at Darby Allin's future. What does he want to do? He wants to go up into space. He wants to build skate parks for kids that are looking like maybe for like, some sort of avenue to channel maybe an aggressive, hostile nature, a place of forgotten to find something that they belong to, encourage a younger generation. And John Moxley, again, people waiting for John Moxley to take a vacation. We saw Claudio Castagnoli win on his own against Roderick Strong on Dynamite. We did see Wheeler Yuta and Darren Garcia work as a tag team. John Moxley looming from the audience. Maria Shafir at ringside. Then again, all the Jeff Hardy's got involved and helped them beat freaking Kyle Riley and Pressy Squeeze Orange Cassidy. And I also wonder if John Moxley loses, does the Death Riders continue his mission? And though they ride without him going forward, does he and Shafir ride off and leave Claudio and company now to carry what John Moxley started? Because at the end of the day, what's John Moxley's whole entire business for the Death Riders? To rebuild AEW in their own violent image by wrestlers, for wrestlers, wants this place to be around for 1,000 John Moxleys, etc. Afraid of a monopoly or whatever that old word that Ash talks about. Shout out to our name for Ash. But, oh my gosh, I've gone back and forth with this. And just seeing the fact that Darby Allin, he will be literally bludgeoned, bleeding, battered, clothesline, stomped, kicked, dropped on its fucking head, and still keep fighting. I'm almost kind of concerned for Darby Allin's own well-being and almost feel like this I Quit match could be literally John Moxley finally giving him mercy. It's one of the things, to your point, who has more longevity? Do we want to see Darby Allin go after the TNT title or the AEW World Championship? Do we want to see John Moxley and the Death Riders continue to test AEW? Because at the end of the day, what have the Death Riders been doing? Testing and pushing AEW. You got to call it for what it is. But to your point, I just think that John Moxley is ready to get the shadow away from him. And I think also Darby Allin is looking for some resolve out of this. So the best hope of that happening for both men, I think, to your point, I got to see Darby Allin somehow make John Moxley quit. Again, I have no absolute fathom idea how the fuck that's going to happen. But seriously, John Moxley, take a break. Get away from Darby Allin. Darby, vice versa. You're a crazy lunatic, but get away from John Moxley. And I think one person needs to go away from AEW longer than climbing a mountain. I'm going to say that Darby Allin somehow is rendered the winner, and John Moxley says, I quit. I'm going with Darby Allin.
Yeah, talking about booking yourself in the corner, like these two men are never going to say I quit. So that's why I brought up the Mick Foley thing. Like who? Like I don't see Moxley saying the words "I quit" near. Like so, like it's. But my question is this, Noah. I haven't seen a lot of I Quit matches before. Mm-hmm. Is it possible Daniel Bryan throws the towel and that's how the match is called off? Because Darby Allin never said I quit, but Daniel Bryan's so afraid of Darby's well-being, he throws the towel, and that's how the match is thrown. It's not that Darby Allin said I quit. It's just Daniel Bryan friendship. He's like, no, he has enough. And he quits for him.
I don't think I can recall in the history of I Quit matches someone throwing in the towel for somebody to render the decision, but I have seen other people quit on other people's behalf. The most prolific statement I can remember, Lana Perusev against John Cena. But it's one of those things that, again, I would not rule it out because at the end of the day, what bridged John Moxley and Darby Allin in this year-long vendetta? Bryan Danielson's Warrior's death last year at AEW WrestleDream, when Darby Allin was duct taped to the corner, forced to watch and unable to do anything to stop it. That's what started this whole thing in the first place. Let's keep that in mind. Again, we're 1 year full circle on this saga with the three men that were involved in the forefront of it. And now they're the undoing. So it would not surprise me at all to see something like that happen, but you're going to need somebody else to literally force one of these two to say I quit or say I quit on their behalf to get rendered a decision. And I pray to God that's Darby Allin and we're done with the Darby Allin and John Moxley itinerary. if I'm being purely honest, Emmanuel, I don't want to see Darby Allin face Jon Moxley again.
Me near.
God damn. And
Yeah.
Wesley here in the chat, way too late. Eddie Kingston. Well, actually, that's another fair shout. Eddie Kingston doing his own thing. He hasn't said hi nor tell about anything about Jon Moxley or his Death Rider MO. You almost wonder if Eddie Kingston would actually try and get involved here. That's a whole different tangent, though. I didn't even think about that. But no, I think at the end of the day, you look at this story 1 year ago with the 3 men that were involved, and the 3 men ended. Bryan Danielson, Darby Allin, Jon Moxley. I just pray to God it's Darby Allin that makes Jon Moxley somehow be the guy that has rendered the decision to say, I quit. I've had enough of this. This is getting beyond fucking ridiculous. All right. With that being said, we've had a lot of talk, a lot of fun chat. We had a lot of concern for these 2 men's well-being. But let's go ahead and get right into my main event with the most prolific female figure in the professional wrestling business and the newest star to arrive to prove who the better woman is. Because that's where it's at, damn it! And this title means more to me than any other women's championship. Let's go ahead and close things out talking about the AEW Women's World Championship. Chris Statlander, defending the gold against timeless Toni Storm. Timeless Toni Storm, who has lived, died, cried, and lived again to arrive to hold on to the AEW Women's World Championship. It completes her, it defines her, it identifies her. But when she led this AEW Women's division, she said there is not a greater woman she would want to lose this title to, nor a greater woman she needs to beat for this title for. As we saw at AEW out in fair 4-way action, it was Chris Statlander that trapped the champion fair and square in the middle of the ring with a seatbelt pin. And while Toni Storm has stayed consistently timeless, Chris Statlander has been on a journey of reformation, character recreation, self-confidence redevelopment, 600 plus days on injury reserve with 2 knee surgeries, former TBS champion, growth and development not from day one, but an AEW original in her own right, knows who she is and continues to find out exactly who the fuck she is. Now the standard for the AEW women's division. Why timeless Toni Storm asked for her own murder and she needs to justify Chris Statlander was the right one to kill her. In a first time ever one-on-one encounter, timeless Toni Storm, Chris Statlander, a match both have been clamoring for, have made turn in the ring countless times over now, throwing fists. And now we're finally going to stop talking and see these 2 fight. Truly deserves to be called the AEW Women's World Champion. I am looking extremely forward to this match, but I also think, talking about Jon Moxley and Darby Allin's end game, what is timeless Toni Storm if she's not the AEW Women's World Champion? The last time we saw timeless Toni Storm lose this time at Wembley Stadium, she was so despondent, she walked up to stepping Charleston style in black and white in London. It's also one of those things that timeless Toni Storm has been the most consistent female competitor associated with this championship. Chris Statlander looking to breathe new life, a new start, and once again being in the spot where she is earned now, looks to punch her ticket once and for all, sending Toni Storm back in black and white. First time ever one-on-one encounter for the AEW Women's World Championship that defines the women's division's future as we know it. Stop where it's at, Father, damn it! I cannot wait for this match. Personally, when I figure out the history of these 2, the growth, and the story, I almost want this to be my semi-main. But bottom line, we're going to find out who the better woman is. Damn it. And you know I'm not bad against Chris Statlander, Strap Daddy for the win. Emmanuel, what's your thoughts on this women's match here? Timeless Toni Storm no longer champion, and Chris Statlander maybe finally being Timeless Toni Storm's final undoing. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, like if Chris Statlander loses this title, what was the point to throwing the timeless one? This would make sense for me. Like Statlander needs to get built up as a legitimate champion,
Badass.
or no, badass champion, or no. Like, what are we doing, AEW? Like you can't be relying on Toni Storm all the time. Like it's like at the point, like, is she the next Charlotte Flair for AEW? Like, give her the title.
To your point, if she does win, she will be the first and only ever across AEW 5-time world champion.
Yeah, exactly. So, And you really don't want that under a company that's very, 5 years old now? 6 years old?
6 years old.
At this point? Yeah, 6 years old at this point. So, like, it's time for them to push the other women around, because if you don't, then I don't know who else is gonna, like, realistic. Who's gonna dethrone Tony Storm again? Like this is the way you had to make new stars beat Tony Storm once again. I'm not sure what you do with their character. Maybe rebrand her into something new. I'm not sure.
You've seen her character since she lost the championship, right? She's gone full on LA Noir style. I love it, actually.
Yeah, yeah. So it's one of those things, like, it's great to have this match and push Chris, but Tony. I know, I have faith that Tony will eat the pen, and for Statlander to continue her dominance in AEW, and hopefully she has a long title reign.
I think that she will. And also, both women have been waiting for this one-on-one. Chris Statlander has already owned a pinfall victory under Tony Storm in a triple threat match. It's the second time she's pinned her now under multi-person circumstances. But the value of a champion and the championship comes down to if you beat the previous champion at their best one-on-one. Both women have been waiting for this moment for the longest time. And we saw what happened with Renee Paquette when she had enough of these two that couldn't wait to get out of their clothes and go fight in the ring again and again and again. So, again, I do think it's going to be one of the most contested, highly competitive championship matches at WrestleDream this weekend. I also look at Chris Statlander and what she said about Thomas Tony Storm. Thomas Tony Storm has only had one identity. Chris Statlander never needed the title to find out exactly who she is. And truth be told, she's still trying to figure herself out. There may be some trust issues because, again, can't she actually, have friends alongside her? Well, right now she's not worried about that, but she's worried about focusing strictly on bringing value to the AEW Women's World Championship. Great close-up, by the way, with Renee Paquette. If you want to learn more about Chris Statlander's mindset on what it means to hold this title and what she wants to be as a fighting champion this time around with the World Championship. It's also one of those things, to your point, that Thomas Tony Storm has gone through the whole roster. But to Wesley's point, I don't think it's going to be Ruby Soho. I can see it being Mina Shirakawa. I can see Mina Shirakawa and Thomas Tony Storm maybe changing gears and tangling. Then again, Alex Wins, that's also a fair shout out towards the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships, a whole different avenue. But for me, straight up, Strap Daddy, it's here to stay for a while, chat. I gotta go with Chris Statlander, pinning Timeless Tony Storm, taking the kill shot, sending with a kiss, sending her back to black and white, and ushering in the age of Stat. Strap Daddy for the win. And I can't wait for this match more than any other World Championship match on this card. Kill it, Chris Statlander and Thomas Tony Storm. Brawl, bitches, and may truly the best deserving defining woman win. Well, that being said, that is AEW WrestleDream. So again, folks, what are your predictions? What are your thoughts? What's your overall analysis? Who quits? Who rises? Who leaves a champion? Do we get an upset? Who leaves $500,000 richer? What else happens? Do we get a debut? Do we get a return? Do you bring with the Switchblade? Do you see something else happening ahead of Full Gear and ahead of the Continental Classic? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below or in the chat as we get ready to conclude. And again, stay tuned for the AEW WrestleDream Predictions Forum. It will be live by 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the chat, in the comments down below, on my social media feeds, and also on No DQ's feed as well. Shout out to No DQ that did their own predictions video. Probably with far less passion than me, but I don't hold it against them. With that being said, Emmanuel, an absolute pleasure in what has been the simplest city predicting ever. Thank Christ. And thank you for joining me on this little escapade discussing AEW wrestling. Let's go ahead and tell where the people can find you and what you've been up to.
Yeah. I'm about to say that I was checking my time right now. Like, wow, 2 hours. This is his first one.
Right?
And it helps a lot when we both agree. A lot of matches, except for two. Who knows?
Well, it is what it is. But also with the agreements, there's different idealisms towards those agreements, and that's what city predicting is all about. Continue.
Okay. You could subscribe to my new channel on YouTube, Interactive Games and Movies, reviews, gameplay, and I see movies, so like reactions. And yeah, this graphic, thanks to ChatGPT. what a pro. He,
ChatGPT, good lord.
yeah, sure. Like I used that, and like look at that graphic. You have to say, you have to admit that's pretty neat,
It is. It
pretty to
is.
the point.
It's nice and clean. It's got the orange color. It's straight to the point. It's simple. I can approve.
Yeah. So like I had a vision, and they nailed it. Like I love it. So if you like, subscribe, share it to people, like leave comments. Like it helps the algorithm. It helps the channel too. Like it helps Noah. It helps JJ. It helps Jeff, etc. And I know like Irene's hearing me right now. Don't provoke her for her to beat me up.
Yeah,
So
you already got enough coming to you at San Diego. I'm just saying.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. That, other than that, I'm ready for the AEW dream. And then you can follow us and Manny Dominguez from Facebook, EDM7224 and Instagram, EDM7224 and the X, Arlene Dominguez on Facebook, Arlene Dominguez on Instagram, and on X, ADM73244.
Very well said. And Emmanuel, good luck to you in the All Elite Predictions League as you continue. Again, you're doing pretty well here for your first time in AEW. I'm impressed. And as you see by the score gap, still anybody's game as we have 2 events left. May the best predictor win. Good luck to you as you are basically in the top 15. Proud of you. All right. Thank you,
Yeah,
by the way. And think about
yeah.
for joining me. Go ahead.
I'm about to say I just pretty lucky because I just booked what Tony will, how he will book it. To be honest, I shouldn't be that precise, but like sometimes you have to think like the booker, like what makes sense for him,
Well,
but not for Triple H, not for WWE, because that's a different company, and the company TKO runs the stuff than Triple H. So it's
different
more harder.
idealisms, different wrestling, different rosters, different itinerary, different presentations. At the end of the day, if I look at the 2, I enjoy AEW more. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
again, that's just the passion of me as a fan. Both are all right, but AEW is where it's at with me when it comes to pay-per-views, all right? Thank you for that, Emmanuel. Again, folks, you saw across the ticker some of the channels in the Simple Labo Studios. Talk about my friends. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe to Bad for Wrestling. Me and her had a great conversation on Ash's chat. We're going to King of Pro Wrestling. Don't be a dickhead. Join Baddies on me today. Subscribe to Baddie for Wrestling. Again, Walter Cruz and I will be doing a simple session here in the near future, as well as taking part in further Saturday shenanigans. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Rage of Wrestling, Walter Cruz. Get it? Got it, Bueno. Get it 300 so we can get his liver on fire with some hot stuff and wings and all that fun stuff. And stay tuned, as always, the most reliable man here at the Simple Labo Studios. He got a perfect score of Crown Jewel, what he do, but I still appreciate him regardless. So follow the Ranking Wrestling JJ Williams on the X, on the social medias when you can. Kazdaney Studios, Renegade JJ Williams, Kazdaney Studio on the X, ROW JJ Williams on the X. Again, the Simple Labo Studios has their own channel now, also on the X. So if you haven't already, go check it out there. Stay tuned for the Simple Labo Studios Awards. Stay tuned for upcoming watch-along schedules and the weekly Marvel Conversation Wrestling match that is the Shady Shenanigans at times, that sometimes I am put in the hot seat to moderate because I'm a glad for punishment. I help out my friends. By the way, shout out to Mercedes Monet. Not only shocked at that graphic, but shocked to see she is the longest reigning TBS champion of all time. Momo Ultimo Monet, now 10 championships. Overkill, my friggin' God almighty. But congratulations, 510 days, 22 successful defenses. Someone's got to become the new face of TBS sooner rather than later, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Real quick,
what?
James, so you're hearing this. I have a new reel for you for the Saturday shenanigans. Like when you do the commercials. Like, what's new? What's new this new weekend? Or just Mercedes winning another championship? But the reaction was disappointment or man angry, because at this point, like, I don't know how many titles is left in the industry. How many titles are there in the continental?
Well, I mean, there's like, I don't know how many countries. This isn't a geography lesson, so I don't know the answer to that. We'll have to stay tuned. But again, Monet owns the world apparently. Someone had to freaking get her off her pedestal. I don't know how. Freaking talking about truly taking over the world. All right. Well, anyway, thank you for that solo note, though. And again, as I pointed out across the banners, you see the friends here at the Simba Studios. If you haven't already, subscribe to Brands of Wrestling, Armani Morphin, Pink Ranger, Dattila, talking about Power Rangers, TNA, and other forms of professional wrestling. Shout out to the Wrestling Collective, great friends at Simba Studios with James Hebert. Follow James Hebert, of course, at J Hebert Side 95. Does really cool dumb things on the internet. And follow Rock and Ropes, who just celebrated 100 episodes of Rock and Ropes with DJ. And, of course, Ropesome as well. Congratulations to them. And the Jeff Meacham Network will be relaunching next year, January 4th. Stay tuned for more on that and follow Jeff motherfucking Meacham. And again, if you want to find me, you can find me at Fox916 on the X and on YouTube, predicting, commentating, moderating, staying away from social media because I'm anti-social as it is. But of course, engaging for all things wrestling. Shout out to W Fam, for I am nothing more but a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Only wish to remind you and encourage you on the winners, but losers, no betters, just fans with opinions of this passion we all share. At the end of the day, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality, treasure your families, just your life to professional wrestling. It's truly as simple as that. Shout out also to Papa Gino, one of the moderators of Team No DQ. Me and him did a predictions polls morning, putting WWE Crown Jewel in the books forevermore. Never be talked about again, scores or results. Why you can go find that on Papa Gino's channel and my YouTube channel as well. And we'll be back here next week, Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Standard Time, putting predictions to rest for AEW WrestleDream, with predictions post morning for AEW WrestleDream. So stay tuned for more on that. Further to come includes but not limited to TNA Turning Point, AEW Full Gear, WWE Survivor Series San Diego, and Halloween Havoc's debatable. Because again, fuck this NXT for fucking up the X Division Championship match. I will never forgive them at Bound for Glory ruining a match of your classic. I am not covering Halloween Havoc. You'll be lucky to get City predicting for that. Plus, I don't give a damn about Halloween. Too bad, so sad. You want it? Pay me. That being said, thank you all so much for tuning in, though, to AEW WrestleDream. Shut it, Emmanuel. AEW WrestleDream. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. Hit the subscribe button. No, hit the subscribe button to know when the next video goes live on demand on any of the YouTube channels here at the Simply Reliable Studios. Hit the subscribe button, like I talked about before. I assure you the content, the creativity, the passion, the wrestling, the silly predicting is not letting up anytime soon. But I think that's all I gotta say for now, as I'm gonna bid you fine folks a wonderful adieu for the East Coast as it's Friday, and you're about to be, of course, to Friday on the West Coast. Thank you all again, once again, for tuning in to another edition of City Predicting. I appreciate your feedback, your support, your passion, your thoughts, as always. Stay tuned for the next simple session with me and Walter Cruz. Stay tuned for Saturday Shenanigans, and stay tuned for our coverage of AEW WrestleDream this weekend. Before Emmanuel Deneen gets in typical British game show fashion, Emmanuel, say goodbye.
Adios.
There we go. And for me, it's also a goodbye, too. So until Saturday night, for not only the Tailgate Brawl, but WrestleDream in full, I am the Silverman Noah Foster. I am your moderator for City Predicting, then, now, forever. Make a positive impact in life. Have a good night and enjoy what the weekend brings with AEW WrestleDream. Have a good night, folks, and thank you for tuning in once again to another episode of Simply Predicting. Stat and Tony are going to beat the V into each other, and I cannot wait.
I know, right?
I love women's professional wrestling when it hits hard, damn it. Also, I'm a hater for life. Fact, glad hater, let's fucking go. This show's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could tell already. Nothing much to